Nice to see 3 of the 4 of you back here together in Australia.
Good to be here.
Very good to be back in Oz. It makes me miss home, I'll tell you that.
Yeah. And to be here at Wallaby Hill, which is a remarkable facility, what are your impressions of it this time round?
Well, look, I think we'll all agree it's an absolute treat just to be invited onto this property. It's a delight. I can't imagine anyone's riding around without a smile on their face. And every time you see something new and exciting that's been built, it's just amazing.
You all obviously catch up on the international circuit throughout the year, but since Rio, first time back together here in Australia, what's it like when you do sort of regroup in this type of environment, Shane?
No, it's great. It's I guess the thing is, generally when we meet as a group, we're in Europe. So when you're back home amongst the gum trees, which you can't see on camera probably, but it's amazing. Just relive some of the stories and be back home. Thinking about the things we've done overseas is good.
Yeah, well, we spent such a great experience together, so it's great all to get back together again. We don't do it very often, and hopefully we'll see Sam in the next couple of days and we'll have a few drinks, I'm sure.
Chris, having been internationally based on a permanent level for quite some time now, when you come back to Australia, are you seeing significant development and improvement in the major events that are taking place here now?
Yeah, of course. There are some new events popping up, like this one, that are taking over. But the sport is still strong in Australia. It's going along well. It's good to see more depth in the entries is what I'm noticing, and I think that we're looking as a nation as strong as ever.
And Shane, you've had a big campaign this year in the Northern Hemisphere and a good one too. Nice to be home.
Yeah, it's great to be back. I had a really, really good summer in England, so our winter, and really got some good performances over there. But it's great to be back. Like Chris says, it's there's no place like home. Just to add onto what you asked Chris before is, coming to home, going to Adelaide only a couple of weeks after being over in Europe. It's an amazing show. The atmosphere there, the competition itself is clearly world class, and then to come 2 weeks later to this venue, which is as good as any venue in the world, probably better than any venue. In its probably not as big as Badminton or Burleigh, but definitely, in my opinion, definitely quality. Like the surfaces that we get to compete on are as good as any surface anywhere in the world. The cross country course is beautifully built, beautifully designed. It's a lovely property that Alex and Derek have put together, and like Chris says, it's an amazing venue to come and compete at. So like Chris said again, that the sport is still strong back home. We'd love to get more depth in numbers, and this event, along with other events that are at this standard, are getting bigger fields, and it's all great for Australian eventing back home.
And Stuart, your role here at Wallaby Hill, beyond competing as a rider, behind the scenes is quite vital this year as a course designer.
Yeah, very much, and I'm very privileged to work in a venue like this. As Shane was saying, it's just beautiful to be able to work on the ground, the surfaces, and the jumps I have to work with. I'm really thrilled with it and really happy with the result. And it's, as the boys say, it's a world-class venue, and this event is just going to get better and better every year.
So I think it's very exciting that he's getting into that, because we need good course designers with some, I won't say a deep depth of knowledge, and I'm not indicating that he's vastly experienced, but nevertheless he knows as much as anyone in the world. So I think it's really great that we're getting new course designers popping up, and it's really great for everyone to be challenged and be pushed.
Do you sense a difference, Shane, when you ride courses designed by riders the calibre of Stuart?
Yes. What I find around the world, or have found, there are some designers that don't make mistakes with distance, and or make very few mistakes. And coming back here, like to Wallaby Hill, the 2 designers here, in my opinion, are world class. Mike and Stuart, you walk a fence and you go, wow, that's a good distance. There's no fluke that the jump is where it is. It's not the same everywhere in the world. So, back here we're very fortunate to have, lucky to have Mike design a couple of really good events back here in Australia. and Stuart has great concepts, great ideas. But the one thing for the horses that's great is that the horses aren't punished by having fences in the wrong spot. You know, when you get to ride the courses, they feel good, and the horses are happy at the end of the course because they're built, and not necessarily in the shape of the jump or anything like that. A lot of designers do that, but the courses, the jumps are at the right spot, so the horses make the shape over the fence that the riders want them to, without you know, having to be ripped around and carry on and finish the courses happy.
Well, there's a wrap, Stuart.
There's always room for errors.
The thing I find though, as a designer, I find that almost the easiest part of the design is to get a distance right between fences. It's getting the balance of the course, whether you've got the right amount of, you know, it's tough enough or it's too easy, and the terrain you use. I think that's a much harder thing to get. The balance of the course is harder. I honestly think putting a distance down and getting a reasonable distance between fences is not the hardest part of the course, but it is one. Yeah, we ride courses where the distances aren't good, and that is honestly difficult for the horses.
For me, that's where it comes. What Chris has said, that's easy for Stuart because he's such a technical rider that he knows where the fence should be, and because he hasn't built enough, he's only just starting out in his building career, is which fences to put where and getting the balance right. That's something that, reading a textbook, you can find that. Knowing to put the jumps in the right spot is something that is feel, and feel you can't teach. So it's great to be able to have these guys come out here and build them for us.
So, only round the corner, the World Equestrian Games of 2018 in Tryon, USA. How are the preparations?
Yeah, so look, I hope we can be very strong in 2018. I hope we can continue to push forward to 2020 in Tokyo. Our high performance program, in my opinion, is really on track. We have an excellent manager with Chris Webb, and some very exciting new coaches coming on board. And I think it's looking very positive. I can't see why we can't be sticking it to the best in the world once again.
Shane?
Building on what Chris says, when you go to a championships, it's not just about the 4 riders or 5 riders, or whatever the case may be, that compete, but the feeling of the depth beneath those riders, and pushing for positions, and the trend that we're going on. And I certainly feel like, obviously I'm based back home, but being over in Europe and seeing the group of riders and horses that we've got trending in a really good way, that we're getting a stronger base, that, like Chris says, we're going to be really strong, I believe, not only next year at World Championships, but certainly, you know, leading forward towards Tokyo. You know, I think you know, we've got a really good chance of being really strong at both of those events, and you know, I'd love nothing more than to be part of that. And if I could get a gold medal with these guys and some of the other guys that are pushing through, would be amazing. And you know, gold's my favourite colour.
And it's a colour that you've had draped around your neck before, Stuart?
Yeah, quite a while ago. Wouldn't mind getting another one, that's for sure. Chris said, I think it's great. Our performance program, I think, is better than it's ever been. And what's really exciting is we've got some other riders that have stepped up at 4-star level recently, so it's making our depth a little better. So I think it's very exciting for WEG and also for Tokyo, and moving forward, I think it's a very good opportunity for Australia.
Well, whilst this event, Wallaby Hill, is quite pivotal towards WEG, particularly for locally based riders, will you all get to enjoy a beer or two together at some point to reflect and enjoy the achievements of Rio?
Look, the great thing is we're all such good mates, so we'll try and make the effort too, if you insist.
It's not very often that we're all 4 together, and as I said before, like, to be 4 of us together back home in Australia at such a venue like this, it'd be a shame not to have a few beers and talk about the things of the past and things how they look going forward.